right, there we go. Well, hello everyone. This is David Jelks, and I'm here actually with a friend of mine I haven't seen in a while in real life. Of course, originally from Australia, but now being he's been waylaid to Brazil, of course, because of COVID-19. And I'd like to, of course, welcome my friend Adrian here. Adrian, my friend, thank you so much for doing this. I know it's always a kind of a courageous thing to get into these live conversations, saying, um, I got some challenges, and we're actually talking about courage before we first started start the recording, and it takes courage to do that, to be willing to get inside these conversations. But I appreciate you for doing it.
No, I appreciate you for having me on, and I think it came at the right time. Seeing your message pop up, it come at the right time. It's just good to connect again. So it's been good to have a chat so far.
Well, and what's so beautiful is that and this is kind of your background, right? We're kind of in the same world. Done a tremendous amount of personal development and a lot of coaching work, but it's just. But we all need help. I mean, we all reach impasses where what we've known has only taken us so far, and then we just need a little bit of help over the hump, and then we're good to go. And I've had lots of incredible mentors, either through books or in person, that have really, of course, helped me move forward. So we were talking just prior to, of course, this recording. We were talking about one of the challenges that I found for myself, and of course, as I started exploring this conversation with more and more people, was the challenge around this lack of clarity of our character, the sense of value. And the reason why it was really important is that I extrapolated this idea from my world as living as a bodybuilder for many years. And one thing, and who would have thought that bodybuilding and philosophy would have anything to do with each other? But apparently they do. And I just remember that, if I'm doing a back exercise and the exercise, the placard on the machine said, this machine is for training your lats, your latissimus dorsi, those big wing-shaped muscles on your back. And you look up and say, okay, that's pretty amazing. The machine makes my body do that. That's amazing. I grab hold of the handles and start pulling away, and I'm going, well, I look at the placard, I see where it's highlighted in red, and going, yeah, I feel it in my forearms. I don't feel it in my back at all. But the machine said, if I pull this handle with that amount of weight, that's what I should get. And of course, I began realizing, no, actually, I have to focus on the back muscle. I have to actually know what it feels like to actually flex the muscle. And then inside the exercise, I need to flex the muscle as I pull the weight to make sure the weight goes to the right area. Otherwise, my brain will just use my forearms because, well, it's way easier just to use your forearms because they're the closest muscle to the handle. So, I mean, and that's, that was 25 years ago when I started paying attention to those ideas. But then as I got more into the world of personal development and the area that we're both involved in, I started noticing my own schizophrenia. You're 50 books into your journey and go, man, I got a lot of information in my head, but it's not where I should be. For all that I've read and all that I know, I should be canonized. Maybe should be gilded statues somewhere of me, and I'm not even remotely there. Like, what the hell's wrong? So. Yeah. So what I realized, of course, we're talking about the idea of values, and because we have kind of a multiple personalities inside of our brain, because our entire history of our life is recorded in a part of our memory called our episodic memory, and it's like the Netflix of our life. So, in order to create some congruency around all those voices and all those personalities, from the traumatized 5-year-old and the irritated 10-year-old and the hopeless feeling 19-year-old and the challenged 21-year-old and the despondent, like, they're all there and alive inside of our head. So I found the only way to kind of create some congruency around it was to, well, if I want to unite the voices with a congruent set of values. And we had talked about core values that you discussed that would be maybe important for you to move your life beyond these challenges, where courage was a big one.
Yeah.
Now we talk about courage. Now, how do you represent courage inside your body? You know what it means here, but again, can you go back to where it feels, where do you feel the representation of courage inside your body?
Yeah, it's kind of in my chest, like walking tall. So it's
Okay.
kind of like lifting the sternum up a little bit. So it just
Right.
feels, yeah, just in the chest there, kind of,
Okay.
just walking tall. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Now there was a couple of examples that you had remembered from your history about being in that space, right? Right. So
Yep.
one was in January where you had started a coaching program and it went off really well. So that
Yep.
gave you a sense of confidence and possibility and some courage. Like, hey man, I'm really doing this. But you
Yep.
also bought a home when you were quite young, in your 20s, right? Early 20s.
Yep.
So which of those experiences, the one from buying the house or the one in January, which of those experiences elicit the more powerful response? Which one is easier to access? Which one feels more powerful?
I think the house feels more powerful. Yeah, even though it's further along, I think it's more emotionally connected. I think, it's just
Okay.
such a very, big, different transitional time in my life, I guess.
Okay, perfect.
Something.
Okay, so we're going to jump into that in 2 seconds. So the story of the house, we'll put that aside. We're going to come back to it. And I just want to kind of clear your mind for a second. And I just want you to, think about the surrounding area that you live in. Think about the streets that you're in. Think about the streets that surround the apartment. Think about the shops that are close, just to go to a different part of your mind. We're just trying to bounce around here a little bit. Now, if we drop back into the challenge that you're having, I'd like you to pull the idea of the challenge into your mind and body. Now, a way to represent it in turn. We don't need to know the story, but I want you to bring it back so that you're actually now thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay. And as you think about the memory, is the memory coming back to you more as a feeling? Is it more of a visual representation? How are you experiencing it?
It's a feeling of like helplessness. It's a feeling because it's it's around not being focused and being to my work each day, and it's around just a feeling of helplessness, like a feeling of scatteredness in the body.
Okay, so where exactly is that feeling of hopelessness and scatteredness inside your body? Where do you feel it?
My shoulders.
Okay, oh, I understand.
Yeah. Kind of like, slouched down, kind of like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there's a whole posture, kind of defeated posture that goes along with it.
Also, I'm not sure if it's around it, but I've got like a metaphysic. The wrist is really, there's an ache in my wrist. It's been there for quite some time whenever I get in this state of helplessness. And it's manifests in the wrist as well. So.
Oh, interesting. And now just the right hand?
Yeah, just in the right one.
Okay, interesting. Is there any other aspect to the memory? Now, you says primarily kinesthetic. Is there any visual or auditory, any sounds like conversations, sounds in the environment, things being said, maybe an internal dialogue? Doesn't have to be, but just doing a bit of a check.
Yeah, there's kind of a bit of just a negative. There's a negative self-talk there. There's a negative self-talk. Okay. Yeah.
And it's masculine or feminine? Is it your voice?
Yeah, it's masculine.
Okay. All right.
Kind of just saying. Yeah,
all right. So
just being pissed off at myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So kinesthetic, shoulders and wrist. Okay. So I'm doing a little bit of
there's that tense shoulders, and it's coming up now. You mentioned it's coming because I train Muay Thai, and I've always got this thing going on when I train Muay Thai. I pull in like this, so it's kind of like I'm carrying something.
Okay. Well, it's also a defensive posture too, right? I mean, it's safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And the auditory is it's a negative soundtrack.
Yeah, it's negative self-talk. Just kind of like beating myself up. Just that negative.
All right. Okay. So basically, we have a memory that the brain has actually stored primarily. Kinesthetically is the largest part of it. The feeling aspect is quite easily accessible, and then there's an auditory soundtrack to it, right? So again, so what's important, we're not actually, and what's important in these conversations is that I don't know the story. We ran a retreat last year in Mexico. We had the 15 participants, And I didn't really know any other stories. And yet we did all this work, but no story. Because I'm not interested so much on what the story is. I want to know how the story is. How did you store? What did your mind do with the information of the experience? So again, so we have a challenging situation that the mind has decided to store primarily kinesthetically, so more feeling based, which is the most powerful part of memory. And the secondary part is this auditory, so it's a negative soundtrack. And that's just the way we have our five senses that store information. And so that's what we play around with. It's not so much the story, because the story is not even really as true as we give it credit for. It's just the way the brain imagined that's what it meant. And so let's put that aside for a moment here. And I want to go back. I want to go back and have you create. We had talked about Landmark Forum, which we have both had done at points in time in our life. And Landmark Forum had spoken about creating a white space, a blank space in front of you, right? So that's the area of creativity and possibility, which means there's nothing there. You can do whatever you want. So if you can you imagine, or look at a blank wall in your flat? Imagine what that blank space. Can you start creating something that's kind of void of any meaning, of any particular color, any particular essence? It's just blank possibility.
Yeah.
Now inside that possibility, I want you to start thinking about the feeling of you when you were 20 years old, and the feeling of courage and possibility. And I want you to draw that memory back. And when you think about that experience, many years ago, how did your brain store that particular memory? Is it more visual? Is it more feeling based, kinesthetic? Is it more auditory? How do you remember the details of that experience?
It's more feeling as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where is the feeling? How is the feeling expressed inside your body?
Like chest, like kind of, just like a raised chest, like confidence and pride in here. Okay. And not tight in the shoulders like the other way, but more like just feeling in flow kind of thing.
Okay.
Just more tall, walking tall, pride, proud.
All right. So kinesthetic, is there any other part to it? So is there a visual part to it? Is an auditory part to it? Doesn't have to be, but.
It's like a feeling of nervousness as well, like of excitement, but nervousness as well, like, new beginning, something new. It's like that, getting outside your comfort zone, that feeling of, a little bit of anxiousness as well.
Right. Cool. So actually, I'm going to get you to stay in that position, stay in that spot. And I want you to actually look at the house as you walk through it. And as you take each step, I want you to, every step enhances that feeling of excitement and certainty and the sense of possibility. Like, look what I'm doing, right? Maybe the sense of pride, as you mentioned. And every room you walk through, every window you look at, every door you open, it's just another burst of that energy, another burst of certainty, another burst of excitement, another burst of possibility for you. And explore the whole house, top to bottom, room to room. And every room and every room you walk into, every door you open, every window you look through, just elevates and brings the intensity up. And let me know when you've gone through the whole room.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it feels exciting. It feels like exciting. It's like new beginnings. It's like, because I used to be a builder, it just feels like creative thoughts, like imagination. What can I do with this?
Right.
Like that feeling of your project ahead of me, like something new, excitement, possibility.
Right. So I want you to look around and turn around, and behind you, another door just appeared. And actually, it's a door down into a basement. And as you open the top of the door, as you look down, you see the version of you from January. And you see him just after the excitement of January kind of wore off and the uncertainty started to show up. And you're observing him in the basement. There's 12 steps from the basement floor to the top of the landing where you're looking at. And as you see him down there, can you see him a bit distressed? Can you see him a little bit concerned?
Yeah.
Okay. But he's not you, right? You're two separate individuals.
Yeah.
I want you to invite him to come up to stand with you on the landing. But every step he takes, he's going to get one step closer to feeling like you feel. So have him do it methodically, like you're coaching him along, and you're asking him to leave what needs to be left behind. So every step he takes, a little bit of weight comes off his shoulders. Every step he takes, it's a little bit more freedom inside of his lungs. Every step he takes, a little bit more excitement starts to build up. Every step he takes, that negative dialogue starts to become quieter and quieter. And just guide him up each step. You're the coach. You know how to do this stuff. Coach him. And then you decide what he needs to know as he walks up each stair, coming to greet you. And when he gets to the very top landing, he's looking at you, smiling because he now kind of feels a little bit like you feel, lighter, a sense of power and certainty and courage and excitement. You know, you reach out your hand and pull him towards you. And as you embrace him, he collapses into you. And now the two of you are just one. I love that. See, now that breathing, that integration, it's just so interesting to watch. It's so powerful. Now, in that position, the integration of both of you, can you guys look down the basement? And where does that insecurity come from? When you look in the basement, look on the floor, you're standing in this space of power and certainty and courage. You're integrated and you're separated away from the negativity. Can you see where that actually first came from? Why your mind is going there?
No, it's just like a blackness just down the bottom of the stairwell, just kind of a blackness.
Right. What does your intuition say that you need to do with that blackness? We don't want your brain to constantly pull this forward. We don't want that to be an option.
Yeah, I need to turn the light on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So slowly turn the lights up. You got a little dimmer switch, slowly turn it up. And as you turn it up, what do you see? What is the cause? Where is your brain accessing? What memory? And again, not to give the description of it, but where in time? How old were you when that memory was first stored?
Like 7, 8.
Okay. Okay. And the memory of the 7-year-old, is that correct?
8-year-old, 7-year-old, yeah.
Okay. Inside that memory, okay, again, you're staying powerful in your space because again, this is not you, right?
Yep.
It's just it's an echo. It's an echo from your past. As you observe that child of 7 or 8, the experience that he's having, can you see it or do you feel it? What is the?
See it, I can feel it.
Okay. Is it the experience color or black and white?
Color.
Okay. Is it close to you or far away, respectively?
Far away.
Okay. And the feeling, I assume, is negative?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Okay, so where's the negative feeling inside that young boy's body? Where is he experiencing it?
Sadness.
Okay.
It's kind of like Yeah, it's kind of in my heart space.
Okay. Can he see you at the top of the stairs?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to speak to him and first of all, thank him. Thank him for the courage, because kids are incredibly powerful. Thank him for the courage that he had to allow you to go through life, to give you the opportunity to be the young man that bought the house. That though this was a challenging time in history, this is how he ended up. He became the guy that traveled. He became the guy that ran the mastermind. He became all these things. He doesn't know, he has never met you. We've kept him locked in the basement, cut him off from all the beautiful things that you've ever experienced. So first of all, thank him for his courage, because that's really where courage comes from. Children are so powerful. And then invite him up. See if he wants to come join the two of you at the top of the steps. Is he willing to do that?
Yep.
Okay. And again, there's 12 steps. Every step he takes, he leaves a little bit behind what needs to be behind, and he starts to feel what you guys are feeling at the top of the steps. And have him walk up one step at a time, and one step at a time. And what's the look on his face as he's 3 steps? What changes in him? 4 steps, 5 steps. When he gets to the very top, reach out, take him by the hand, and embrace him. And as you do, he becomes you. You bring him home. Exactly. Now, how's that feel to bring him back?
Yeah, it's yeah, you feel more whole actually, to be honest.
Yeah. If you look back down the basement, what's there?
Nothing.
Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is walk down the steps to the basement. And every step, now the 3 of you take together, every step, the basement becomes lighter. Every step, possibility becomes more certain. Every step, courage is a little bit more expressed. And you actually get to see your intentions for the next 90 days and beyond of your life. And the 3 of you will do this together. So the world takes on this whole new beautiful sense of possibility, and you can see it illustrated. You can see these images flow up. The things that you're going to accomplish, the people you're going to reach out and touch, the challenges you're going to overcome. And every step down, reach to the very bottom step, the 12th step, just that sense of certainty becomes more and more powerful. They're like the 3 musketeers. And no matter what experience comes through your eyes, the sounds that you hear, the feelings that you feel, it has to go through these 3, young boy, young man, and the mature version of you today. The experiences have to stop here and be assessed and judged by you 3 before you let them in. All right, and take a deep breath. Perfect. Beautiful. All right, come on back to the room.
How long was I out for?
I don't know. Not very, no, it didn't take very long.
That's all right. That's interesting.
So again, it gets back to what I said, in the very beginning of our conversation, is that if it doesn't feel like you, it's not. But you have to know how you wish to feel. There's a bumper sticker that you'll see on cars quite often, and the bumper sticker basically says, "What would Jesus do?" And it's not that I'm pro Christianity, but it's an interesting idea, because what is it actually saying? What would be the if you understood who this person Jesus was, or Muhammad, or Mother Teresa, whatever the role model that you choose to follow, they're asking you, what are the characteristics of this individual, and what would that feel like? So if you were a studied Christian or a studied Muslim or what have you, and you said, well, what would Muhammad do? Like, you never become Muhammad. You never become Jesus Christ. You never become Gandhi or Buddha. Like, you don't become those people. You actually take in the representation of them, and then you act that out. So, and kind of in a similar fashion, because we've kind of lost that narrative in our modern culture, because we're not as explicitly tied to a belief system like we used to. And there's problems with that, because again, then who do we become? We're just this fragmented collection of narratives, and we kind of get buffeted around like a leaf in the wind. But if you can decide, so as the experience of life come at you, now you have the three musketeers, the 7-year-old, the 20-year-old, and you collectively, standing there on guard saying, this is how we feel. This is how I want to represent myself. And anything that doesn't feel like that, it's not me. And I'm going to challenge it before I let it in. Because that's how I want to feel. And anything that's contrary to that, really, you should actually take some time to discover where that's coming from. Because it's obviously not you. Not in the current context of you.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So it's that consolidation.
Yeah, it feels more grounding.
Yeah.
It feels like you're coming from more depth. It's not so heady. It's down more here.
Yeah. That was really good. That was, and what's so interesting is that this path, we have no idea where it's going to go. It's just, I don't know. Like, it just, and you didn't know. And so this is kind of the fun journey when you go through these processes with people, is that you get to explore it. But the challenge that we have as coaches, and that we have as humans in general, is that as soon as we think a thought, so the thought automatically picks a particular narrative, experience out of our mind, and it says, that's the foundation. We're going to go with that. And we don't consciously choose that. That's almost always an unconscious process. So as long as you know who you are, and so your practice would be, this is my daily practice. Thinking about what that feels like, remembering that experience. And then the more you think about that, and the more you feel about that and feel that experience, and then what you want to ask your mind is there any more of those inside of me? Is there any more really great aspects like that? And what you'll find is that, and I would encourage you to journal, and don't force it, but just write, I am courageous, I am possibility. And as you write those things, get into the experience of it, and then simply ask your mind, when has this been true for me before?
And just stack them.
Yes, absolutely. You got it. Absolutely. That's right.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just keep stacking on them.
And do it until you fill up a book full.
Yeah.
But we know it takes about 6,000 to 10,000 repetitions to recreate like a neural map in the brain, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's sets and reps, like working out, sets and reps, like throwing punches, sets and reps. Right?
Yep.
So you have your sets and reps. You can actually have a number of repetitions required, right? You also have the experience, so you have to know what it feels like. So you have the simple structure of it, and basically you're just going home. Because we know that the way we experience life is through our memories, and the brain is constantly taking our memories, our current experiences, and then associating to the memories. We want to highlight as many positive experiences as possible, so they're available to us at any given time. And just think what may happen at the end of 2 months. when you're constantly turning over the soil of your life and all you find is an acre of diamonds. Everywhere you turn, there's another diamond, another diamond. Like, how unstoppable would you be?
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that. So yeah, just journal and bring them up and bring them to the forefront of your mind, because yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what we'll call your spiritual practice. It's also what people call gratitude. But gratitude actually is work. It's not just remembering, but it's feeling and then bringing the whole experience forward and reliving it. So wow, that's just amazing. That's amazing. In a world that's
using that gratitude with intention to serve you to where you want to actually get to your values, rather than just being grateful for, you know, random things, sun coming up. It's like stacking that gratitude of that moment, and then you're actually building on something.
Yeah. It's how you build a house, right?
Yeah.
Solid substructure, solid foundation, solid substructure. You build it a layer at a time. But what happens on the top is only as strong and powerful as what you started with at the bottom. And you have to know what that scaffolding is, that substructure is first. All right, that was amazing. That was really good. I really appreciate you taking that journey with me. It's always so exciting to see the power of the power of our mind and the power of these conversations. You know, as the world of coaching that we get into. Yeah, and to be fair, it's really hard to do it on yourself.
Yeah, you're completely right. And I have in the past got so overwhelmed with that, because as we mentioned before in the call before, I've been doing so much work in all different areas, kind of bring it back to the feeling. But to do that, it's kind of having your support to do that. Because you said, like, even the times we're in right now with everything that's happening in the world, it's all taking us away from the feeling, isn't it? It's taking us away from who we are, because we're out there in our head, too heady. And no, it feels more grounding, Dave. It feels a lot more grounded that if I do a practice and I do the gratitude, I've got something to anchor to.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, well, thank you for your courage and vulnerability for doing this publicly. But I think it's an important message, right? That it just, we all need a little help from our friends, but we don't, and it doesn't have to take forever. Like we spent a little bit of time in conversation, laying out the groundwork for the conversation, but really we spent 20 minutes of dialogue to contend with something that you've been struggling with since January.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes, we didn't solve all the world's problems, but we cleaned that one up. And now you have an option. If that feeling wants to come back, you say, well, that's not me.
Yeah.
Because this is me. Perfect. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. That was very, very cool.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you.